What is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast, the live version. I'm your host, Steve V, alongside Cody Maurice Doggett. How are you?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful today. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really good on this Wednesday night here. Happy to be here. Let's get right into it because we've got a jam-packed show, including a really awesome vulnerable voices with special guests today that I'm really want to get to shortly in this
Oh,
a
wonderful.
45-minute show that we got for you. You know, Cody, I wanted to get right into it on
Jump on in.
Tags podcast the other day. I was talking to my co-host Jeremy Ross Lopez and Lincoln, and we were talking about
Mhm.
how things are going to be opening up soon. Opening up, not my hole or anybody else's, but
Are you sure, darling? Are you sure?
well, I'm not sure. I'm hoping. One can be hopeful, but you know, I'm double vaccinated now,
All right.
and
Me too. Me too.
we were
Snaps for that.
yeah, and we were talking about a bar here in New York City about the Eagle is going to be doing something called no vaccine, no entry beginning May
Ooh.
19th, because at least here in New York City, you will hours will go back to normal, including
Hmm.
bars and that normally would right now they're closing around midnight. They will close now at 4 a.m. as they
Ooh.
did before, which is really exciting. And so with that, they put their particular mandate: no vaccine, no entry, or get have a COVID test as
Uh-huh.
of like 3 days ago, and you'd have to
Oh,
come with
okay.
your
A recent COVID test.
yeah. And we were talking about on the show that there was a patron that was all up in arms and saying, "I'm not getting vaccinated, and this is malarkey," and he didn't use the word malarkey, but
Not malarkey, honey.
I was thinking of our president, and I love when he says the word malarkey. It cracks me up. I have a thing for old words. And so, yeah, he was up in arms about it. And so I told my friend when he told me this, I said, well, then fine. Then you don't get to come, or then every time you come, you're going to have to get a test. But
That's right.
what are your A, thoughts on that? And B, what are your thoughts on like when things are opening up as a double vaccinated man that you are, how you feel about it?
Well, I'm very, very, very excited that I will be able to get sloppy drunk until 4 a.m. Still out in the club. In the club.
What's
It's gonna be
new? I mean,
I mean, I still do it, but I can do it out in the club now.
okay. Got it. KK.
So I think this is a great way to kind of entice people to get vaccinated more. I think that it's a great idea I think more clubs should do this, more bars should do this, more restaurants should do this. And that way we can all be a little bit more safe and a little bit more comfortable going out and doing things amongst people again. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I'm glad. Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, I know you were telling me offline the other day that even though you're double vaccinated, you might not
Mm-hmm.
be. And I agree with you. Not everybody. It's kind of like we've had over a year of being isolated and being in our bubbles. And I was talking about how I went to the first birthday party at a indoor restaurant with six
Mm-hmm.
people. And you know, when you open the floodgates and you go from 0 to 60 in a
Yeah.
nanosecond after the trauma, and I mean trauma that we've all gone through, it's not always so quick that everybody's just going to want to be like sidling up with everybody, even if it's at your favorite bar. And isn't that kind of what you were alluding to, Cody, when you were telling
Oh,
me offline?
for sure. I've been out places where up in restaurants and things of that nature inside because inside dining is open now. And
Right.
like you said, there's this uneasy feeling that you have. And because people don't have their masks on, there's multiple things that go into it. So you're always cognizant of that. And for me, the mask has been like a security blanket, kind of, sort of. So me taking off my mask is making me vulnerable in ways that I didn't know that I was capable of being vulnerable, or that I knew that was making me vulnerable. Does that make sense?
It does. It's making me vulnerable because now I can't sneer and make faces at people anymore like I could before.
But you will anyway.
But I will anyway. And I'm like, darn it. Because when I walk around the city here, I've got my hoodie practically, and I'm already like a warrior as it is as I walk
I look
around.
like
I'm
a
in
robber.
black. You look like a robber, yeah. So with that, you
I
can
have
kind of
glasses on. I have a mask on. I have a hoodie on. I got all of it. I'm like, I wonder how people perceive me. Like, there's that thing that goes through my mind. Like, I know people are like, who is this dude? He looks crazy. So, and I do. So,
cuckoo. Well, nah, we love you for it. Listen, this is our Get Vocal show that we do every week on the Get Vocal platform. We're grateful to be a part of it. And one of the perks of it when you're listening to it or watching it live is you get to comment. And we got a couple comments from Greg, one of our loyal listeners, who Greg says, we wish we could do that in Michigan, Cody. He says we have to be out of the bars at 11 with last call at 9:30. Well, you know what, Greg? So do we actually here. But as of May 19th, things will change. Do you know any changes happening in Michigan? I know numbers were quite high in Michigan. And is there a change in sight? Let us know. We'll report back. Erica says, in South Carolina, we are the weird New Yorkers who wear masks. Okay, so Erica's, truth be told, she's coming on our show in a little bit. And I guess not a lot of people are wearing masks. Erica, we'll ask you a little bit later, but are you vaccinated yet? Are you planning on it? That's a whole thing. Yeah, let us know. Anyways, we got to get into our next story. Okay, so Greg says no change until we reach 70% vaccinated. Wow, that's kind of harsh, right, Cody?
yeah, that's rough right there.
Yeah, our numbers are okay here and that's the whole point. We want everyone to get vaccinated because then that means that we can all travel to back and forth. And so it's crazy. There's a recent story, Cody, the return of casual sex in the UK.
Okay, all right.
You all know Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson gives the green light for overnight stays for the first time this year, with rules on kissing and hugging relax from May 17th. Okay, we're slightly kidding, and so is the Daily Mail. But Britons have been unable to have overnight stays in England since January. But Boris Johnson tonight gave the green light for households to meet indoors. Up to 6 people from 2 different households can meet from Monday, May 17th. And social distancing measures will be lifted to allow friends to hug and kiss. However, social distancing measures will remain in place between strangers. Interesting, right? I love this article. Hello out there across the pond to our UK listeners, and I know we have some out there. I love you guys. I love it out there so much. I miss the UK. I've met some of you when I was out there a few years back. But I love how this article, the Daily Mail, says, Cody, that casual sex will be allowed again for the first time this year as part of the government's latest lifting of lockdown measures. They didn't really mean that, right? Yeah. But what do you think? Do you believe that our fellow LGBTQ plus members have been abiding by this, and this is like breakthrough, and all of a sudden they're going to have sex for the very first time?
So I know some people in the UK that were taking it very seriously, these restrictions. However, they were a couple. They're a couple. Well, one of them is a couple. There's another one she's by herself, but they were taking it very, very seriously. So I know that they're going to be happy that a lot of these restrictions are going to be lifted. It makes me think about, I don't think that, even Greg kind of confirmed my thoughts. He says he has 4 friends in London that have been bending that rule. So I don't think that everybody has been listening to the restrictions or adhering to the restrictions as much as, one would think or one would hope. And it makes me wonder about, do you remember that segment we did maybe a few months ago where those 2 guys were masturbating at each other across apartment buildings
Yes,
on
I
the
follow one
glass.
of them on
Do you
OnlyFans.
really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I was wondering if they were going to get together now and maybe this is a love story that we could have in the UK.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, right. I mean,
I love a good love story.
I love a good love story. And yeah, I mean, I think the reality is, depending on how much they were policing this in the
Uh-huh.
UK, maybe people really didn't have an option. And the UK is a lot like here, if we're talking about London at least, if they shut down their trains, they cannot travel as easily, or if Uber wasn't allowed, you
Okay.
wouldn't really be able to go hooking up as easily as possible. And so it would make sense that things probably definitely slowed down. But if you're like me, you might find somebody
You
in your
find a way.
building down the hall. Recently, I have a guy above me that I've hooked up with during the pandemic.
Mm.
And so no police efforts or doorman is stopping that. And I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, but I've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
But I think people were getting busy in their way. Now it's just been lifted, and I'm happy for that. So there you go.
I mean, I found a whole boyfriend during the pandemic, so
Yeah,
I
yeah. But I
know.
mean,
I
you're
can't
not in
throw
the
any
UK,
stone.
but yeah.
But true, yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, okay, we got to piggyback on this story. And speaking of people meeting up online, there's a recent story in Atlanta which is really the reason why we wanted to talk about it was because there's been robberies happening to so many people. I'm just trying to find this story real quick. Let me find this real quick. Yes. So, unfortunately, in Atlanta, another man was shot, another beaten in a string of violent Grindr robberies, which has been plaguing Atlanta. Atlanta police went on public record on Wednesday with the increasingly violent incidents ever since February 4th to warn users of the popular app Grindr for the public's health in identifying the men using Grindr to target their victims. There's been a
Mhm.
string of them. I could post this on TAGSPodcast because we don't have a whole lot of time. But essentially, men are luring other men using Grindr. Oftentimes they're gay, Cody. That's interesting.
Ooh,
Or I shouldn't use the word gay. They're having sex with their victims
yeah.
and then robbing them, which
Wow.
is a mind fuck on so many levels. Oftentimes it's not. The key thing, I don't know if you read through this whole article, and again, I'll
I
post this
did.
on tagspodcast.com. But did you notice the slew of, I think it was 5 or 6 stories of since February that have occurred? A lot of them have to do with getting the victim getting in their car, picking up
Mhm.
the person that they met on Grindr at their home, going to a disclosed location, like oftentimes a cemetery popped up, picking
Mm.
them up in their car. And the car thing was
Yeah.
what really stuck out for me as something like maybe we need to not be having strangers get in your car when you
Yeah.
don't know them. This is something that I know before you're booed up now, but and I'm when we live in cities like Chicago, New York, when we're public, and London, like we were just talking about, we often are in an Uber, or we're often in a building that has like cameras and doormen. And so a lot of this, when you get in a car, your own car, I
Mhm.
think you made yourself vulnerable. And one of the things we were talking about that potentially could help this is turning on the app, your Find My iPhone. It's now
Mhm.
called it's called something else now. It's
Yeah,
called
people
Find My
find my
App,
phone. Yeah.
essentially. And we did this just for a test to see how this would work. So Cody and I turned on our Find My app, and he's currently monitoring me right now, and I'm
Mhm.
currently
I sure
monitoring
am.
him right now. But you could do it for an hour, you could do it for the whole night, and I think you can even do it longer. This may not solve a potential crime, But because many of these stories that we were reading about, they were having their victims stripped naked, leaving them by themselves. And if nothing else, you could find the person that potentially was the perpetrator. I mean, what were your thoughts, Cody?
Well, the thing that struck me about this story was that they were meeting in a public place. And I've been preaching to meet. If you're going to meet up with somebody, at least take them to a public place to meet up with them. But then maybe I was not specific enough in saying that a place where there are multiple people that could kind of see this person, you with this person, and maybe follow your gut, feel out the person before you actually go anywhere with them. Follow your gut and not your penis is at the end of the day. Because if these people are giving off a shady vibe, please don't go anywhere with them. Please don't put them in your car and drive away with them. But that I feel like will cut down, along with sharing your location with your friends as well.
I love the follow your gut, because that was one thing that the head of the police department of Atlanta definitely stated, but it's not everything. Sharing, I think, your location with somebody is so important. It can, at the very least, find the perpetrator at the end of the day, hopefully. And because there's been stories of them having sex, going to a restaurant, even watching Netflix movies, and then having sex, and then the guy robbed
them?
Yes, after.
What?
These are the crazy stories. So it's, yes, trust your gut, but maybe don't do things like watching Netflix. Really be discerning with some of this stuff. And I know I say that with trepidation because it sounds trite, but it was important for us to talk about this. And if the one thing that we can offer is to turn on Find My app, I think that will help a little bit, at least the whereabouts of your phone that is linked to you. That's, but if anybody has anything else, we will continue to post this on TAGSPodcast.com. Well, it is time to bring in our special guest for our segment that we've been starting since we started this, called Vulnerable Voices.
Yay.
We were, Erica and Jay, go ahead and grab a spot. We're super excited to bring our two guests on the show. Hello and welcome to Erica and Jay. Just a quick, brief introduction. Erica is a life coach alongside Cody Murray Stoggett, and that's how you guys met, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Jay is your boyfriend, correct?
He's my husband.
Husband. Oh, all right. Even better. I love that. How long have you guys been married?
Almost 4 years.
I love it. Well, we really wanted to bring you on the show because, and this is a topic that has been, since we started the show 4 years ago, really important to me, about disability and sex and disability in general. And when we heard, Jay, you have cerebral palsy, correct?
Yes. It affects my lower extremities. There are many different forms of cerebral palsy.
Yeah, can you tell us just a little bit more about your type of cerebral palsy?
Yeah, I have diplegic cerebral palsy, so it affects my lower extremities. So everything above my waist is perfectly normal, and I walk with a limp below the waist.
He uses a cane.
Yeah, I use a cane to walk.
I love it. Well, I know, Cody, you had one of the first questions that you wanted to ask, and we have a lot for you in our segment, so get ready for us.
Well, my first question is for Erica, and then we're going to elaborate with pulling both of you in. What was your initial thought of dating someone with a disability? And then you both can answer this next question. How is the sex for you guys?
Okay. So I first met Jay, and I didn't really think a lot about his disability because he was the first person who just I'm a very anxious person. I have a lot of quirks, a lot of things. And Jay just kind of made me feel like myself. So I just kind of jumped in that way. And then I started thinking about it. You know, like when it got serious, my best friend was like, you don't have to marry him. Like, just go out, just go on some dates with him. And then I mean, I married him, but you know, I was like a little worried. What would my family be accepting? Like, if they didn't know him, like, would they have preconceived notions or judgments before getting to know him? So that was definitely, those were some thoughts that I had running through my head.
And Erica, as Cody said, what was sex had to have come in your mind? And I know, Jay, you've been in different men's groups and talked about sexuality. What do you want us to know about your particular disability, and how is sex for you guys?
Well, we enjoy it.
Yay. Probably having more sex than I am, so I'm not mad
I
at
think
it.
we all do. Sex is great. I mean, it has we do have some limitations. I do have some limitations that we have to work with. So there are some movements that I can't do. There are some that I do very well, and we're constantly working on it. Yes, there are some that I do very well. And, you know, but it's constantly, you know, a learning, because we've been together for 4 years now, and
8 years.
oh, forever. It's a long time. I don't remember my life without her a little bit.
You know, what's funny is we were talking offline before we did this, and as you say, it's constantly evolving. I know we're going to ask you a little bit more questions about more stuff about this, but it doesn't sound that much different from other couples. In other words, when you meet somebody in general, when I meet somebody, it's not always like the perfect sex. It's always evolving. There's things that come up and change, and I'm learning about my partner if I'm a good partner. And so for you to say that, it doesn't sound that much different. That, you know, you got to, I don't think anybody is like that perfect sexual partner. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's pretty much what every couple goes through. Ours just looks different.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I had shared this with Cody briefly, but normally, like, when I was like dating around New York City, and I met Jay, and I really would be like, no, like at least like 5 dates, and then I'll consider having sex with them, you know, whatever. I don't know, or maybe more. I don't know. I really like had this like whole thing, like had to play, hard to get, you know, whatever. And well, first of all, I felt very comfortable with Jay because I just felt very like gotten. But I was curious about that. I was like, I need to know now, like, I like this person so much. I feel so connected to him. I need to know how the sex is. Like, is it any different? Is it going to be any different? So we did have sex on the second date. And you know, it was awesome. So
I was just psyched to get it in, but that's just
right.
Yeah, I was like, Sweet's coming upstairs. Fantastic.
We have so much in common, Jay. We have so much in common.
Yeah.
So, Jay, can you tell us a little bit about what your dating experiences were before you met Erica? Like, how did you date? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's really interesting because early on in my early 20s, I was really nervous because I thought that women didn't like me because of my disability. And it was really the other way around. It's like, I didn't like me, so they didn't like me. But the minute I got over that, like, I felt like everyone liked me. And if they didn't, it didn't matter. I actually looked at it like, some girls like guys with glasses. Some girls don't. Some girls like guys with canes. Some girls don't. And then I play music. So once I started, I started meeting a lot of girls. So
he was in a band.
I started sleeping around a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
We all do it.
And, I didn't talk to Erica about my sex life before we were married because I just played a numbers game, and it was awesome. And it's not like I was a pig or anything. I let women know what it was, and they were fine. They were young.
So were you.
And I was young, and we were learning, and I was pretty active, and I was very happy. And I was nervous, just like everyone else is when they first have sex with a stranger. And you brought up I know this is a little off topic, but you brought up keep your phone because people are getting robbed through Grindr. I actually had a woman sleep with me at my house, and she said, I could have stole your wallet because it fell out of your pants. And I said, well, I was just trying to get them off so fast. I hate to make a joke, but when she pointed it out, I was like, that's a little weird. Maybe
that's a little creepy. Yeah.
Maybe you need to go now.
Hey, Jay,
it was Erica, admit it.
It was no.
It was a little bit funny.
Hey, Jay. So we've got since I've done the show, and why this topic has been really important to me is because I've had people write in before on, I wish you would talk about disabilities and sex, and I'm like, yes, I really want to. And one of the things I think often we get tripped up in is the language, saying the wrong thing, how to approach people that may or may not have disabilities. And what's just your recommendation on how to approach so we don't put our foot in our mouth or any of those kinds of things?
Just ask.
I love that.
Just ask, because don't ask, do you need help? Or feel better. Someone said to me once, oh, feel better.
We were leaving.
And I said, thanks, but that's me.
Right.
Well, people used to come up to him on the street and want to pray for him,
Yeah,
in New York, and I'm sure it'll happen here. But
Oh God.
but
not our audience. Not our audience. Yeah.
A lot of times.
No, in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, you guys are in South Carolina. Yes.
Yeah.
We got a letter from Jesus last week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you really? What did it say?
That's another podcast.
Different side.
Oh, okay.
So it sounds to me like, the last thing you want is pity, because you do not need that, and we should not. That's the last thing, correct? Yeah.
Right. There's nothing to be pity. There's no pity about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're people. We have minds, and every disability looks different, but everybody has the same feelings, and that's the way I would put it. Just because I walk with a limp doesn't make me any different than the next guy. We all have hearts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Erica, in the few minutes we have here, what has been your experience, just briefly, if you could share us about it? Did you just go into it love is blind kind of or what can you share?
Yeah. Right.
Well, I wanted to say too, just on your other point first, that
Yeah.
I think asking the language, because even Jay's learning, the language changes. Is it disability? Is it, able-bodied? Is it, the language is constantly changing. So I think just asking someone, just as you ask someone, what are your pronouns? How do you want us to refer to you?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important.
That's so
I'm
key.
learning a lot about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so key, Erica, because one of the topics we didn't get to today was going to be about pronouns, about Instagram implementing the pronouns. I was on a Clubhouse room the other day, and a mom is teaching her son to ask other kids, her 5-year-old son of all things, what their pronoun is. And he's not getting a good response from other 5-year-olds, as you can imagine. But I think, the other thing that comes to mind too is we all have something that we're working on and trying to, make better. So I don't see many differences at all with when somebody has, cerebral palsy, or with what we're going through emotionally, a lot of people have a lot of emotional intelligence that we're all working on.
Yeah, that's what Jay says. His just happens to be visible.
Yes. That is what I say.
Yeah.
You can see what's up with me. I don't know what's going on in your head. I'm an easy target.
But I did go into it a bit blind, and I really didn't start. It really didn't hit me or us as a couple until Jay started having some like pretty bad falls. That's one of the reasons we moved to South Carolina. We knew that warmer weather would be better for him. And after we got married, Jay let me start coming to his doctor's appointment with his orthopedic doctor, who just started teaching both of us about his disability. I mean, I really kind of did go into it pretty blindly, to be honest. Yeah.
Love is blind. I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What are some of your recommendations for people that are dating with someone with a disability?
Just ask.
Communicate. Like I probably
Yeah.
should have, looking back, I would have asked more questions probably, or like maybe educated myself a little bit more. Just so I would be prepared for, anything that might come up. Try things out. Don't be embarrassed,
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest thing was meeting the parents. I think that was weird. But this is a show about sex, and I'd rather talk.
I was just gonna say, Jay. I was gonna ask about the sex part. I was gonna ask you guys about.
So we've tried the Liberator. I'm sure you've heard of the Liberator.
Ooh.
So it's supposed to get your butt in the right position.
But I fell off of it, and then I got really embarrassed because I'm really clumsy. So.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find the right position. Be like a book. I feel like we bust out a workbook sometimes. It's like,
I love it.
What's it? Oh, having my butt cheek here. Does this work for you? No, it doesn't work.
We used to live next door to Babeland, so that was cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's a lot of trial and error, and don't be afraid to talk to your partner. They're going to tell you, the person with the disability, that what they're willing to try, what they can do, and just get in there and dive in is a lot of it, right? Get messy. Sex is messy and it's fun and it's just a little bit different. Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love sex. I mean, how do you not? If you don't like it, that's a different program.
I love it. All right. So Jay, we really want to, you have something to promote. You have a t-shirt line coming out. Is it out right now? Or
no, we're doing teasers on Instagram right now.
Tell us about it.
Okay. So I am doing a rock and roll t-shirt website and brand. The name of it is Stitch Street. And I have an Instagram at Stitch Street Original, STITCHORIGINAL. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
And we'll be we're dropping our first line in
the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, June 4th, I believe.
I love it. And it will have a little bit of you were talking about a disability side to it as well. Tell us about that.
We are aligning with disability awareness groups and long term.
That's our goal.
Our goal is about inclusivity. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I want people to feel like they belong. This is not just about selling t-shirts. It's about building community. And that's what I really want. That's the long-term goal. T-shirts are just an avenue for that.
I love that. Inclusivity, and that's the name of the game right now. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to list this on TAGSPodcast.com, the links to it all, and Erica will list yours as well, of course.
Thank you both.
Yeah, this has been great. I hope to have you guys back on. We do an after show at times, and where we have more time, and I'd love to have you guys on for a more in-depth conversation for our core audience. I think that would be really, really great. But thanks so much for sharing your story. So enlightening, and we'll have you back soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Guys, thank you. Erica, email me about the Liberator, please. I need to know more.
Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, we're going to list all of their links on tagspodcast.com. I love that. So important. You can always DM us at Tags Podcast on Instagram and tell us your stories as well. All right, Cody, we've got to get into a recent story that was making the waves that I could not. You said you followed him. correct?
No.
So first of all, let me set the story up. Do you guys remember Project Runway and one of the early Project Runway stars, Jack McEnroth? Jack McEnroth, it was one of those early Project Runway contestants, and he did fairly well. He's since moved on to gay porn, I think mostly on his OnlyFans, but he started a production company alongside his boyfriend, Dolph Dietrich. Well, recently, Jack and Dolph were in the news, and it wasn't pretty, y'all. I'm sorry to report. While they have been romantically linked, or at least in the past year, Project Runway reality star Jack McEnroth and gay porn star Dolph Dietrich are clearly not dating anymore, at least at the time of the story. At the time, McEnroth posted a tweet alleging that Dietrich forced his way into McEnroth's New York City apartment and then proceeded to assault him and damage his cell phone. McEnroth also made the extremely disturbing claim that Dietrich, quote, likes to fuck kids, ouch, based apparently on online sick chats and, quote, baby fuck toys belonging to Dietrich and McEnroth. Says he recently discovered this, and McEnroth posted all these bloody pictures of himself on Twitter that have since been removed. Well, the story goes on that all of those tweets have been taken down from Twitter, and they have a production company together. Dolph Dietrich also posted his own thing that he was spontaneously robbed. He didn't
spontaneously.
Yeah. And showed some receipts. Apparently they live in the same building here in New York City. Well, now, yeah, the latest of it all is now they've trying to push all that aside and say that everything's copacetic and everything's fine with their porn production company, and things are all fine. I don't know. It's really messy to me, Cody.
So messy.
What do you think about when I've been reading a lot of stories recently in the porn industry. I don't know if it's the time that we're in but there's a lot of drama happening with porn production companies. If you just look up any of the sites, what were your thoughts when you heard about this and what's going on?
I was disappointed. I was so despondent because I can't jack off to anyone anymore. Everybody is a mess. Everybody is just doing crazy things out there. And look, I just want to come, okay?
I just wanna.
All right, I'm making it a song. I just wanna. Wanna come. All right,
it's a song.
It's a song, okay? Like, they're so messy, and the alleged allegations that is the messiest part. Like, why are you posting on Twitter about this and not alerting the authorities? That's the part for me.
You know what? Yes.
Why are you involving so many people that don't need to be? Are you doing it to kind of promote this type of activity and end your own businesses and your endeavors? This is something for the authorities. This should not be on Twitter. I should know about this, basically. Well, I mean, it is good for our show, but it's not good for common sense.
Keep it coming for our show. However, the funny thing about the industry of porn is you're not even on Twitter. We have a Twitter account at TAGSPodcast, or maybe you are, Cody. I don't know,
on Twitter, but
you don't really use it.
I don't use her. No, I use her
over there, and
I
don't
use her
follow. Whatever, girl. But the point being is, I'm going to cut you off there. But the point being, I'm muting you. But the point being is, the gay porn industry, OnlyFans, uses it a lot. It's okay. Actually, gay Twitter is for the porn industry is huge. And
I do know.
This is how they promote many of theirs, because Twitter doesn't censor their content, and often they can post, porn stars can post, or OnlyFans or Just for Fans, they can post scenes and not get taken down and then lure you to join their other sites where they can make coin. And I get all that, and I think that's really good. Where I find this going wrong is it's sounding very celebrity driven. Like our celebrities, when something goes wrong like that, then they're playing it out on Twitter, but then to only work it out. And I'm one of those, if you tell me your boyfriend did you wrong, I'm not going to forget, Cody.
And
if you come back,
wrong.
if you come back and say, oh no, everything worked out and it was a big mistake. I'm that friend that doesn't forget. I hold a grudge. Sorry. I'm not going to let you just slide on and being like, oh no, but we worked it out and all. I'm that friend that's not going to, I'm just that friend. So
there was physical violence involved, and you cannot come back, and you can't come back from that. Like, how do you? I'm sorry. In my opinion, I understand. Like, to each their own. But as far as physical violence is concerned, then it turns into a toxic situation, and then you need to cut all ties. As far as I'm concerned, that's what I would do. That's my advice.
We're calling Brittany, and it's a toxic moment. And it's all, I agree with you.
And hair flipping and all the
exactly. I just think for them to then parlay it into, oh, we're all good. And the sad part is they have this production company, this porn production company, when so many porn production companies, gay ones right now, I keep reading about are in disarray. It's not looking good.
At all.
And like you said, if there really is a problem, call the authorities. Don't post your bloody ass face and foot on Twitter and expect us all to fill it for you and then say, oh no, take it off and everything's all good. Think before you post. That's all I got to say. Anyways, it's time for our favorite segment of the week.
All right, I'm
going to let you go first. We call it Thirst Trap Thursday.
Wait.
Hashtag Thirst
Wait,
Trap.
it's Wednesday.
Oh, right. What am we call it Thirst Trap we have another show that we do on the anyways,
Clubhouse.
Let's just go with this Clubhouse. Yeah. But wouldn't you love that, Thirst Trap Thursdays?
I know, right? We should just call it that no matter what.
Because the show does air on Thursdays, by the way.
So there we go.
There you go. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. Have another cocktail, Steve, and do this damn segment. It's 21 gay porn stars this week who took the best photo or video by Straight Up Gay Porn, our favorite site that we salute. And Cody, did you put it in the mix already?
I haven't
had it.
I did, darling.
I can already tell you just by starting the whole thing off that the first picture is my favorite.
So
it goes
good,
by
right?
Real Talix. Am I saying that right? Real Talix.
Let me look.
It's the first one. I'm going to describe it. Our goal is to describe you why they are our favorite thirst trap of the week, and I think it's by Real Talix. Am I right?
I think that's right.
He's Latino. He's got a perfectly shaved head. He's got that thin mustache that I'm trying to do that looks like a caterpillar on me that I'm going to cut off later on tonight. So it's not working on me. His tattoos are perfectly strategically placed, including a star on his left. Like what do you call that? Hip flexor? And then
I call them cum gutters, but okay.
Cum gutters.
Right.
His dick is so thick, and it's perfectly thick, a mouthful, and he's got the best perfect teeth and smile. He gets my pick for this week's Thirst Trap of the Week, but we want to hear from you. By the way, I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com. Cody Maurice Doggett, what is your pick of the week?
Real Talix is beautiful, okay? And he is actually, they vote at the bottom. I don't know. You know this.
I know this.
And he is the most voted by the people on this website as well. Just so you guys know.
I haven't, this week I'm a little late. I didn't have time to go through the whole list. I just saw him first, and then he was my pick because I'm like, I can't go any further. He's amazing.
He's beautiful. He's
Yeah.
beautiful. I don't blame you at all. But my favorite of the week goes to Ricky and Johnny Donovan. I love them. I followed them on OnlyFans before.
Oh, are they twins or something? Because you know
They're
how you have a
not
thing for
twins.
twins.
Oh my God, Steve! I do not have a thing for
I
twins.
thought you have a thing for twins.
My friend is in this room. Please don't tell me
Okay,
I have a thing for. They are not twins. They're not related. They are husbands.
Okay, what's their name? Noah and Remy?
No, Ricky and Johnny Donovan.
Ricky and Johnny Donovan.
They're like almost all the way to the bottom somewhere. But Ricky has clearly just finished up giving Johnny, his husband,
I see it.
blowjob.
Yes, okay.
Because there's cum everywhere. And
real classy, Cody.
And that made me just love it, okay? And then Ricky is kissing the tip of the penis like it's his favorite thing in the world. And I just fell in love. So, and I followed their OnlyFans before, and it's pretty good. So I highly recommend it. So you had
a backstory. Okay, got it. Because it really looks like it's featuring Ricky.
I always have a backstory.
Okay, of course you do. But
it's Johnny's penis, so he's in it.
We definitely have to shout out to Boomer Banks, who's in this, who looks super sexy and hot.
Yes,
and Boomer was on when we used to do Tags live at Rebar in New York City here. He graced us on the stage and he was lovely. And he looks really hot here, just saying.
Yes, he does.
But we want to hear from you. We will post this on TAGSPodcast.com so you could weigh in as well and let us know what's your thirst trap of the week. And we will let you know. Oh, we are out of time. Thank you so much. This has been a great show today. I want to thank our special guests, Erica and Jay, who let us know. Thank you so much. Again, we're going to list where you can follow them on tagspodcast.com beginning tomorrow, and you can listen and watch the show. Thanks, guys. That was really, really enlightening. You guys are so much fun. I really want to hang out with you guys. I want to thank Cody Maurice Doggett, as always. You can follow him at Mr. Maurice on Instagram. Got to say it like that. Or at KMD Coaching, because he's a life coach. So I am. KMD Coaching. And please follow us on Tags Podcast. It's at Tags Podcast. And DM us for sex advice, weigh in, or ask us questions. We will report back. Thanks, everybody. Really, really consider getting the vaccination. It's so important and will change the course of our trajectory. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.